Um, I'm very excited about today's session. We are going to be talking about some of the most important issues and topics on students' health, mental and physical health. We have with us Dr. Renuka David. I'm very privileged and honored to have her here with us today. She is a lifestyle and wellness expert. I have prepared a list of questions with inputs from students, parents, teachers and management of Velammal. I'll be putting forward these questions and I hope you all benefit from this session. If you have any questions, please feel free to post them in the comment section. Dr. David will address them at the end of the session if time permits. Before we begin with the session, I would like to give a brief introduction about Dr. Renuka David. Dr. Renuka David is an alumnus of Coimbatore Medical College. She has worked extensively in the well-being and healthcare of women and children. She was a contract doctor with the Indian Army for 3 years. She is married to Colonel David Devasahayam, who is the founder and chairman of Radiant Group of Companies. Though a doctor by profession, she dons many avatars. She is an entrepreneur, she is a professional speaker, TV host, TEDx speaker, panelist, wellness expert, and much, much more. Dr. David has won numerous awards. In 2014, she won the Jaguar Woman Achiever Award in the field of wellness. In 2016, she was awarded India's most exceptional speaker for health and wellness. In 2019, Dr. David received the coveted Black Swan Award for Women Empowerment. She was featured in the 100 most successful women entrepreneurs in the MSME segment. She's an inspiring, motivating personality who advocates healthy lifestyle. I welcome Dr. David to the session. Dr. David, thank you very much. We are very blessed and fortunate to have you. Thank you.
Thank you, Vidya, for this kind introduction. It's indeed an honor to be here addressing you all this evening. Being a gynecologist by profession, I guess my calling was wellness, which was advocating healthy lifestyles and prevention of lifestyle diseases. Of late, I guess mental wellness and mental health has taken a center stage because Harvard Medical School fears that this is going to be the second wave of pandemic which is going to hit us globally. And I try to address this in many forums. And I'm so happy to be here talking about this, Vidya. And let me start by saying, giving a little bit of statistics about mental health and how important it is today to be talking about it. Mental health affects us all. There is a tremendous requirement to create awareness about this. The stigma to visit a mental, professional has to be removed, and this has to be treated like any other physical ailment. Do you know something? India has the highest number of suicides in the world. Wow. According to the Global Burden of Disease estimate, we have nearly 235,000 suicides happening every year. Majority of the people who commit suicide are generally below the age of 44, generally between 15 to 29. As per the National Health Survey, 1 in 20 over the age of 18 definitely undergoes or goes through depression at least once in his or her lifetime. So we are talking of like 45 million people affected with suicide, with depression. And to make matters worse, among the youth, in a population of say 100,000, at least 30 to 40 youth are depressed, and 15 suicides are happening every hour. So it's like very, very frightening because today Suicide is the number one cause of mortality in India, unlike probably just a few decades back where it was cancer or it was road traffic accidents, but it's no longer there. India not only heads in depression and suicide, it's also depression is the number one cause of mortality. So it's something to be very, very mindful about. And in a population of 130 crore, we just have about 6,000 to 8,000 psychiatrists. So it is very important to recognize these symptoms and to address it, because always remember, suicide is preventable and depression is treatable. So I think we all need to be really aware of this, Vidya.
Oh, I was not aware of these the numbers that you gave. Thank you very, very much. Um, I'll start with one of the most popular questions, especially for teenagers, which is their body image. Unfortunately, the society has accepted what the media has successfully advertised as beauty and acceptable body image. Or, in other words, how can teenagers develop positive body image?
I think there are just so many unrealistic standards out there. By nature, we tend to make comparisons. And of course, when a woman starts comparing herself to what she sees probably in some advertisement, in some magazine, or in some forward, she always winds up coming short. And she goes around to feel like a failure. And especially if that person's self esteem is low, she's going to blame herself and feel that she is the reason that she's not living up to that perfect image. So it's not just the media, Vidya, but I think media, peers, family members, they can all influence a person's body image. So they may encourage men, women, or even young boys, young girls to believe that there is an ideal body. The image is often a very, very unnatural one. So if I have to say that, how do we start? How do we start addressing it? Let me just tell everyone out there that you are very special. And why do I tell this? Because there are certain situations that is beyond you. You cannot change your parents, and thereby you are born with a set of genetic pool. You cannot change that. Just imagine how special you are. Being a doctor, I'm going to be a little technical. For you to evolve, you have been a fusion of one sperm and one egg. And imagine that sperm has competed with nearly 1 million sperm to fertilize that egg. So, as it is, when you're born, you're one among million. You were chosen to be born and to come. So, to come in the world. So, you're definitely special. So, how does your height, your color of your skin, your texture of your hair, your physique, or the way you look, how does this even matter? Because you, I think, have been chosen to be born. So, having said that, I would like to say that, how do you feel that you are in control of your situation? Just because probably in your mind you feel your parents are comparing you to a sibling, or maybe in a classroom you feel the person who is the most liked person by the teachers or by the peers is the person who is very good looking in your perception. So how do you change this? There are situations that you just cannot change, as I mentioned. So you need to take control of yourself, saying, I am the master of my fate and I am the sole captain of my ship. And I am responsible for all the choices that I make in my life. So that's something that you have to incorporate into it. And that involves a lot of self esteem and having a lot of confidence in your personality. So always remember, when you're going to think that you're going to fall short because of some external beauty factor, beauty is very temporary. It isn't just about physical aspect of beauty. It's what you look through in a person. And it is very important, Vidya, for people to find their purpose. So I don't know if you have read this book called Ikigai.
Okay.
Ikigai is a beautiful book which has been written based on a study done on a population in the region of Okinawa, which is Japan's southernmost region with
Yes.
subtropic climate, where there are around 50 to 100,000 people who are older than 100 years of age.
Wow.
And they have done this study, and predominantly these people are all very, very happy. And the book says, when they did the study and when they kind of uh, study the lifestyle of these people, they realized that happiness was just part and parcel of their life. And this is because they found the purpose for which they were doing their work, the purpose for which they were born, the purpose in their life. So it is very important, according to the book, to find your purpose. So it is based on, four principles. That is what you love doing, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you get paid for. So it kind of allows you to find out what your passion is, what should be your career, and to start with knowing what you do not want to do. So that's how the entire thing allows you to think and have a perception and to find out that have a purpose. What is your purpose in life? First, define that and do what is right. Because when you are going to see or compare yourself and feel that I'm not living up to the standard of probably what my parents expect me or what my teachers expect me or what in my mind I should be the ideal person, realize that this might seem temporarily right, but you'll never be happy. So just follow what your heart is saying and follow your energies, because when you do what you're passionate about, when you know what your calling is, you will immediately have all those positive energies guiding you through. So allow, just dream. And as Oprah Winfrey says, you do not get what you wish for, you do not get what you hope for, but you definitely believe, you definitely get what you believe in and what God's dream is in for you. So always aspire to be the best version of yourself, because the what is not in your control, do not even try to go there. But what are the choices that you can make is what you can control. And definitely you cannot compare yourself with anybody. So when you keep these things in mind, you realize that body image is nothing. It's what is in your soul.
Wow, that was beautifully said. Thank you. You mentioned about self esteem, so I'm going to go there. What is the difference between self esteem and self confidence, and how can teenagers improve their self esteem?
Well, with their self esteem is actually how a person may feel about themselves. Whereas I think self confidence is more about how a person may feel about their abilities. So when you say self esteem, it's like an inward facing. It's what you think of yourself as a person, how you treat yourself, and believing that you are a good and a worthy person no matter what kind of setbacks life throws at you. So it's not necessary that everything should be perfect or having everything according to the way you want it to go. It's just okay being yourself no matter what happens. Being able to accept everything about you, your weaknesses and your strength. So that's our self esteem. And if I had to talk about self confidence, it's like how Madeleine Fernstone has put it. Self confidence is more outward facing. It's the ability to interact successfully with the world which around you. So it's actually self confidence is built over time with a defined set of skills and achievements that you can rely on future. So don't assume that gaining high self confidence in any particular area automatically allows you to have a high self esteem. No, it doesn't work like that, because what happens is sometimes a person might be very confident in a particular activity he or she is good at. That person might be a sports person, person might be a great orator, he might be great in studies, he might be a high performer. So he has developed self confidence in his ability to perform good. But the same person, if you put him into a room where there are a lot of people and he's expected to talk, and he goes with that, what the hell am I doing here? Do I deserve this? Is it I that deserve this? There is that little doubt. That's self esteem. Yeah. So he might have a lot of higher self confidence, but his esteem is not very high. So especially to parents and teachers, when a child has got low self-esteem in the class, because Vidya, you told me that this is not only for students, it's also for parents and teachers who are listening. So I just thought maybe as a doctor, if I could just give you a little tool that not all the kids in the class might look all cheerful and normal, but there are those ones whose self-esteem is really, really low. And you have to have certain tools to just, give the best to that particular child. One is to be realistic, because expecting a child who has got low self-esteem and who's not confident at all, for him to say he's a slightly dyslexic or whatever, expecting him to say master spellings in a vocabulary list, or trying to do something in par with at least above average students, is unrealistic and unfair to the child. One needs to be very patient, because attitude and self image will never change overnight. So you have to very, very patiently work on that child. Be flexible when you're working with these children, because they need more time and repetition in order to achieve the same results which otherwise any other child would be doing. Be very positive, because what happens is a child, he's used to receiving negative feedbacks concerning their approach and performance to schoolwork. So when there is when you provide positive praise and encouragement, and try avoiding making any kind of negative comment, so that makes a great deal, and you stand out as a very special teacher, because you will be remembered all your life. That child will remember that this teacher is so good. I mean, this teacher recognizes that I'm passing through this, and so positively he or she is trying to let me move forward. And be truthful, because also the teachers or parents might go a little overboard and provide exaggerated praise, so that can actually do more damage to a student's self esteem than good, particularly when the false praise becomes obvious to that individual. So you have to have the thin balance, and this is something where you can build on a child's self-esteem. So self-esteem and self-confidence, people use it very synonymously, but there is that very thin line which divides this, Vidya.
Okay. I have a question with regards to internet. Internet, yes, I understand it has both good and harmful content. What causes internet addiction, and how can kids manage? These days we see that even parents are addicted to internet and social media especially. So how can kids manage that?
Vidya, this is such an interesting question. When we were children, or when I come from a generation where during my childhood we never had internet, and we never had cell phones, and we were taught that our foundation to our character building was built on love, forgiveness, respect for man and being, and genuine concern. And that was the basic foundation to, for a person to at least grow the right manner. Today, unfortunately, with the internet generation, these very, very crucial values have taken a backseat, and the foundation of children of this generation, the millennials or the Gen Z, they grew up with this bad disadvantage. And I'm going to tell through another statistics, which is a little scary. Children who spend more than 3 hours a day on social media are twice likely to suffer from poor mental health. So, because their immersion in the virtual world delays their emotional and social development. So this is something which parents have to be really, really mindful about. And what happens is, why do people, not only children, but parents are also so fixed on social media? Well, there's something called FOMO, fear of missing out. And that's something which a lot of teens, they do not want to miss out. They do not want to miss out on their friends' activities, on their favorite celebrities' gossip, on what their celebrities doing, what are the parties, So it's that fear of missing out which actually wants them to keep revisiting the sites that they're so addicted to watch. And do you know something, Vidya? FOMO is also a very, very big cause of depression and anxiety. Then there's again this obsession with self. obsession with posting endless selfies and updates on yourself on social media. And to some extent there is this narcissistic attitude which is building up among the generation, which is I think not very very healthy, because narcissism, again, there is a thin line. Some might say that what's wrong to have this, so it is confused by having a very high self-esteem, but actually narcissism is more of people who do not have a very high self-esteem. They have got little less, the self-esteem is less about themselves, but they try to overcome it by putting another person down. And this is something which I think the obsession for selfies and to so this is a unfortunate element in their personality development which is happening. Another fallback about social media is a Facebook depression. You must have heard of it. When someone spends so much of time on social network side, they become anxious, they become moody, because they see the lives of their friends much better than theirs, even though this might not be the realistic representation. And to make it worse, their friends get more likes, they get more followers, and rather than causing happiness, it actually causes more anxiety. And there is this sense of, how come he's for this post, how come there are so many likes, I have not been able to get so many likes. Social media also tends to reduce the attention span and concentration, because if you see children, there is so much available and it's just a click of the button. And if they don't like it within that first 1 or 2 minutes, there are so many options to go to. So you have to keep that attention span. You have to put something very interesting in your whatever your update is. And so for these children, their concentration and their this is coming down. Again, it's really bad about cyberbullying, cyber crimes, which one has to be really mindful about, and also the availability of offensive, explicit, violent content, which is so accessible in the internet. So how do you deal with all this? How do you deal with the Facebook depressions? How do you deal with FOMO? How do you deal with when children are so unempathetic? Another thing about this, the new generation which are growing with social media, is that there is very less interface of real communication, of social communication. Now with COVID, it's even become worse. So that facial recognition of where the empathy is, where you have to reach out, that actually takes a backseat, because you're seeing a very vague fake projection on your social media. So these are the real fallbacks of when children are getting addicted, and children and adults, as you rightly said, are getting addicted to social media. How do you overcome this? So I'm going to give Smile, and you must be wondering, why am I telling you to smile when we are talking of such an important subject? Smile, I'm just going to use the acronyms about Smile so that people just remember. So S, I would say, is supervise. Supervise your kids' online activities so you can teach them to protect themselves from online predators and bully. At the same time, give them their freedom, because children do not like to be in the space where they know that the parents are supervising them or they're controlling them. Ensure that they know that you are aware of their online habits. So supervise, keep an eye on that. Second, the M would be to motivate them to use the social media very constructively to enhance their learning and collaborate with others who have similar interests. Because today there's so much one can learn from social media. There's so much of information that you can get. There's so much of options that you can go into. So do it very constructively. The I would be ignite their minds to do something as much as possible, which is not virtual. So wherever possible, wherever you can, rather divert them from this kind of addiction. Today you have PUBGs and you have Fortnite and you have all these things which are so addictive. So try to kind of ignite their minds to do anything that is not virtual. It could just inculcate them into a habit of reading or some board games, or spend time with them, just spend family time together, but just try to kind of ignite their minds to do something which is other than the virtual. The L for the would be to listen to them, because Vidya, when I was talking to Dr. Lakshmi Vijay Kumar, who is the founder of Sneha. She was saying a lot of times people want to talk. They just want to talk, but there's no one to listen to them because everyone is doing their own thing. If you see, even in a house, father is doing something, he's in his net or he's in his this thing, mother's doing something, kids are doing some, again, in their digital electronic media, and there's nobody listening to anybody. So it is imperative, please listen, because kids are trying to tell you something, and just try to listen. And E would be empathy, because especially those who are got a low self-esteem, be empathetic, understand, because try to tell your kids that just because you have 500 likes or 500 followers, you do not immediately define yourself to be cool or to be, the this thing. It doesn't work like that. So, and also be empathetic to what they need, because if you do not provide them, they will look for it outside their home. So if you remember, smile, and just keep this in mind, probably it would just at least take the baby steps to get your child or get yourself out of the addiction.
Oh, beautiful. So supervise, motivate, ignite, listen, empathy.
That's right.
It becomes something. So, that's a beautiful acronym. And most of our students have extracurricular activities. So I'm going to touch upon their time management. So how can students maintain the right balance between their extracurricular activities, schoolwork, their family time, and social activities?
Vidya, this is a very, very good question. Today, there is so much of early burnouts happening, and the kids are under so much of stress. And I think this is such an imperative question for today's children, for today's kids, especially those who are doing so much, and they just they are pressurized to perform and pressurized to do so many things at one particular given time. To start with, I would like to say that children who are raised without some kind of discipline or without rules, they can actually be stunted or ill-equipped for adulthood. So they learn. In order to have a sense of security, it is really, really important to learn to navigate life through structure and through a particular routine. But having said this, they also need unstructured time to play, which allows them to, not only it gives them a restorative time, but also gives them time to recuperate, to be creative, and to kind of do their own thing. So having said this, how do you leverage this? That you make sure that your child is working hard also, and he's getting enough time to play. Probably one method is leverage on your children's playtime to impart some important educational skills. So when these children are exposed to play-based learning, they develop critical thinking skills, and they are very critical. They are very creative to handle any situations which is placed in front of them. So I think it all boils down to how you manage your time. So a very common thing that I tell my, I'll not say patients, I don't want to scare anyone over here, but a very common advice that I would like to give to my young friends, my students, the students and the teachers and parents who are watching is, it's imperative for you to do a to-do list, which you can do maybe in your brochure, or you can do it in any of your electronic device, but your to-do list is really, really important. Write down all the activities and assignments in your planner which you need to do the next day, and definitely on a weekly basis. So maybe just a night before, you must realize that, okay, tomorrow I've got to finish all these activities, especially if you've got a deadline to meet. And probably once a week, maybe a Sunday afternoon, you can kind of broadly, you can write what all you need to do over the week, so that if you have a deadline to meet by a particular day, you're already planning your time throughout the week. So to make a to-do list is very, very important. So start with that. And when you have done your to-do list and when you study it, make sure that your day is top heavy. And when I say top heavy, do all your difficult work in the first half of the day. It saves the agony and stress that it's out of the way. So when your mind is fresh and when you have all your positive energies around, you do the difficult part of your activity in the first half of the day. When I'm talking to students, it could be getting up early in the morning, and if you've got a very, very difficult chapter to finish or a very tough, so do it in the first half. The moment you get up a little early, your mind is fresh, you're thinking clear, the house is quiet. Do it at that point of time so that this is out of the way. Then when you're planning out your day, set realistic goals. They can be long-term goals and they can be short-term goals, but make it realistic. I'll give you an example. If you're going to say that I have to finish I've got this internal assessment to do and I've got to finish it at this particular time. Don't say that, okay, I'm going to finish it in 2 days when you know that this work is going to take you at least 5 days. So make your goals realistic. What are your long-term goals? What are your short-term goals? And after you do that, also assess what could be the barriers which will come when you're preparing these goals. Barriers could be that maybe you do not have enough material, maybe you do not have some resource, maybe you are not going to get it because of so and so reason. So also write down what are the causes and how are you going to overcome this. And there's always one thing, Vidya, that I have seen is that there is this fear of failure, that what if I put in my best? What if I give it my best shot? And what if it doesn't work? Then what happens? So it is important to address that, to face your fear, and you find out what is that is causing you this reason to be so fearful. And the moment you address it, the moment you write about it, and the moment you face it, rather than just sweeping it under the carpet, you'll be surprised how well you can handle this. Also, it's imperative for you to take breaks when you are working very hard. So if it's before your exams or whatever it is, make sure that if you're studying for 1 hour, take a 20-minute break. Do something which you love doing at home. Maybe if you love playing a piano, you're good in musical instruments, you love playing the piano, or you've got something, do something like that, or some sports activity, something you love. Do it individually or do it collectively with your friends. So that's something which is very, very important. And very important, now, of course, COVID is, you are forced to hang out with your family, but that's something I always say, make time for your family, because you all are so busy growing up and doing all your work. Make sure that you at least indulge in having one family activity together. Maybe, you'll be surprised how it de-stresses you. It could be playing carom or ludo, whatever. Just have a family time, especially when you are got lots and lots on your plate. Also, I would like to say that when you have a very busy schedule, it's good you can do away that you cannot handle. That's something, Vidya, I've seen that even if a child has got lots and lots of work and there's something more coming, the child just accepted thinking that this is what he has to do. It is okay if you're not able to handle it. It's okay to not take that particular assignment. It's okay to say, I'm not able to handle this, I can't do this. So it's imperative that whatever you are doing, give it your best, have realistic goals, take that time off to to have your break. And also, one very important thing is learn to say no, especially if your friends put pressure that, hey, come on, let's go out and play, come on, let's do this, let's do, what are you studying all this time, or what are you doing this? Have the ability and the discipline to say no. Don't be afraid to say no. So if you are mindful of these little tips that I have given you, I'm sure that when you're going to sleep and when you realize that, see your to-do list and see whether you've ticked everything, and trust me, you will not have this tension of oh my god, I got so much to do, what should I do? You'll not have this. You'll do it in a very calm way, you'll do it in a very relaxed way, you'll not be scared to fail, and you'll realize how beautifully you execute your project.
Yeah. Adding to that, I also recently read somewhere, which is just stuck in my head, that students who meditate or who practice meditation and meditate for 5 minutes before the examination, they perform 20% better in the examination. For some reason, it's just stuck in my head. So meditation is a big subject, especially for students. It's a heavy subject, but something to consider.
Absolutely.
Consider that. And you mentioned about pressure from peers, so I'm going to touch that topic now. We know that many students, they do feel peer pressure. So how does peer pressure affect students' academic performance? And what are the main causes of peer pressure, and how can we recognize and manage?
Vidya, what is peer pressure? How do you define peer pressure? Peer pressure is more or less a feeling that you have to do something to probably fit in, to be accepted, or to be respected. And that's pretty tough to deal with, trust me. So it can be overt. That is your friends telling you to do something. They'll go and challenge you, I dare you. And it's very common among us. I dare you, go do that. I dare you to go to the stage. I dare you to do that. So that can be very overt, or it can be less direct. And how is it like your friends just joke around about you not doing what they're doing? I don't have to elaborate. So that's again an indirect peer pressure. But actually, sometimes peer pressure can be helpful also. How is it going to be helpful? It's like suddenly you recognize that your friends are studying more than you are, and that can be one motivator. You're suddenly seeing all your friends, they're actually working much more harder than you, and there is this positive peer pressure to say, oh, I don't think I'm putting in my best, I better start studying, or it's the high time I start working hard. So that, or social addiction. Suppose noticing that your social addiction is more than your friends, so there is that little peer pressure to say, no, I think I better cut, I decide to cut this. So but it can cause you to do things that sometimes you just do not want to do, and dealing with this kind of pressure is extremely challenging. So how do you manage this? So see, it's all in the mind. Vidya, at the end of it, it's how you are going to deal with it and how you are going to work towards this. And this is like doing physical exercise. When you go to the gym to build your body with a particular goal, it can be to tone your body, it can be to bulk up, to lose weight. You have a goal when you're going to the gym to work out. Similarly, when you are developing, when you are thinking of addressing peer pressure because you're facing it a lot, I think it is very important to start working on your mind as you do for your body when you go to work out. So first of all, the foremost importance is give yourself the permission to avoid people or situations that don't feel right, and leave a situation that becomes very uncomfortable. Work on setting boundaries. That's very important. It's okay for you to do what is best for you. So, and you set that, work on setting those very rigid boundaries for yourself. Again, this is work in progress. This will take time, but this is how this has to be your end state goal. How do you work on setting boundaries? Check in with yourself. Ask yourself, how are you feeling about this? Does it seem right? What are the pros and cons if I do this that my friends are telling me to do? Recognize the unhealthy dynamics that are involved. It's okay. Is it okay to be pressurized? Is it okay to allow to be tricked into a situation? Is it okay for others to be making threats on you that if you do not do this, this will happen? It's not okay. It's not okay for others to mock you. It's not okay for others to belittle you. It's not okay for others to shame you. And it is not okay for others to criticize you for the choices that you're making. So you can actually ask others to stop their behavior, and you might even come out looking uncool about it, but that's okay. That's absolutely okay in the long. So this is how your goals are, how you're going to exercise your mind to reach your goal. So spend time with those people who respect your decisions and won't put unfair pressure on you to confirm any particular activity that you do not want to do. And actually, when this situation is a little too much to handle, especially when your close community of friends are putting this kind of pressure, there's something which you can do called the delay tactics. The delay tactics is that don't immediately respond, rather than tell them that, can I get back to you? Can I think about you? Give me some time. So you are allowing yourself a little time to formulate yourself or to respond in a particular manner, which you know that you do not want to do. And suppose you have to go to a situation where there is no escape. You know that you have to go there, and there are people who are going to put pressure on you, but you don't know what to do. At moments like this, it is good to take a friend along who will support you, who will know that even if there is a lot of pressure, that friend is always there behind you, who will motivate you. And even if you're feeling a little weak at that point of time, your friend is going to say, no, don't do it. It's not worth it. So having said that, Vidya, also it's your responsible to do something called the bystander intervention. Stand up for others when they are being pressurized. Because when you do that, when you're stepping up to help someone who's in trouble, that can be a very supportive way, not only for that person, but for yourself. And ask for advice from your teacher, from your parent, from any trusted family member, a counselor, whoever is there. Don't be alone. Ask them to say, I'm in this situation. What do? I do not want to do this because this is not my boundary. And as I said before, the importance to say no. Please have the ability to say no. This is not going to be mine. So if you, as I said, if you focus on these points and if you have this goal and think that now you're taking your mind to the gym and you're working out, and these are the small baby, it's not going to change overnight, but you have to work on it and work on it and make sure till you reach there, then nothing's going to bother you and people will accept you with the way you are. You don't have to please anyone because it's just impossible to please everyone. You cannot say that I'm doing it so that I all these people. Always remember that to please everyone or to be liked by everyone, it is really, really impossible. It's hard to accept, but try it. So once you realize this and once you move, at the end of it, you're doing it only for yourself. Nobody else's matters, just between you and yourself. So try these little tactics, try this as exercising your mind, and trust me, you will reach there.
Okay. Thank you. And just a quick information to you, Dr. David. We have more than 4,000 students and parents. They've logged in. This is the number of live views we have ever had. So
I'm honored.
So this is
Thank you.
excellent news for us. I just got it, so I wanted to share this with you.
Thank you.
And one of the things that is often neglected with regards to teenagers is their hormonal issues. And because of that, they do face personality changes. So can hormones cause personality changes? And how can they, I mean students or even their parents, recognize that this behavior is because of hormonal changes that they are going through?
This is an excellent question, Vidya. This is a very good question because, many people do not address this, and they are helpless and they do not know how to address this. Remember, hormones change gene expression and cellular function and affect behavior by increasing the likelihood that specific behaviors occur in the presence of precise stimuli. So during this stage, when a child he's passing through adolescent to being an adult, there is this range of hormones, and we call it the gonadal hormones. So for girls, it is the ovaries, which are the female gonads, and they produce estrogen and progesterone. And for males, it is the testis, which produces the testosterone in response to other precursor hormones found in the pituitary gland or any other brain areas. And these gonadal hormones impact brain chemistry and the circuitry and hence influence emotions, mood, and behavior. So when you know this, that you know your child and your child who is passing through this range of hormonal issues, plus there's suddenly development of secondary sexual characters. A boy sees his hair is growing, he's getting a beard, he's getting mustache, he's getting hair all over, his voice is changing, his Adam's apple is becoming prominent, he's wanting to look cool and he's trying to look very debonair, and he's kind of suddenly discovering a lot of changes in his body. He's learning about himself. And a girl, of course, you must be knowing the secondary sexual characters, development of breasts. Suddenly there is softening of the voice, and there are so many changes. And there is so much of things happening in their body. Plus, you have suddenly the estrogens, the progesterones, the testosterones, everything playing havoc to your body. Poor child. So he's bound to behave. How does he behave? There's anger, there's aggression, there is high self-esteem, there is high self-esteem, there is feeling of hopelessness, sadness, irritable mood swings, sleep loss, weight loss, poor interpersonal problems, poor parents, poor teachers, poor everybody, poor child. So now, this is something that parents and teachers should, I'm sure I don't have to say, because you see this happening you see especially the children between class 6th and 8th, this is the sign that happens. This is a big, and these children have to be very, very carefully and very patiently dealt with, because this is something beyond their control. Hormones are going to be there. They are going to face reactions because of these hormones. But yes, there are some healthy lifestyle tips which can make it easier for the child and for the parent. So these tips can be try to start having very nutritious food in spite of having being an exposure of so much of junk food. Try to have healthy lifestyle choices. Eat enough protein, because protein influences the release of hormones that control the appetite. You have a particular hormone, the hunger hormone called ghrelin hormone, and proteins, they control it and they stimulate the production of hormones that help you feel full. So consuming adequate proteins, it triggers the productions of those hormones that suppress your appetite, and you have the feeling of having full. That doesn't mean that you have to have lots of protein. Having a minimum of 20 to 30 grams of protein per meal is good. I don't have to tell the youngsters exercise is very important, because there is an elevation of muscle maintaining hormones that usually decline with age. These are testosterone, dihydroepiandrosterone, that we call DHEA, growth hormones. So these are all, they are produced more when you're exercising. One very important feature is minimize on white sugar and refined carbohydrates, because diet which are rich in white sugar and refined carbohydrates, they've got empty calories. They do not have vitamins, they do not have minerals, they do not have any essential things, which is just empty calories, and they have high glycemic index value. So when I say high glycemic, at the moment you consume this, there is a surge of blood glucose in your level, thereafter surge in insulin level, and the constant bombardment of excessive insulin level leads to insulin resistance, and can lead to type 2 diabetes, can lead to obesity, can lead to midriff obesity. So it's good to avoid at this stage this. Also, it's very important to manage stress, because stress can wreak havoc on your hormones, because there are two major hormones which are affected by stress, and this is cortisol and adrenaline. Cortisol is the stress hormone which actually helps your body to cope with stress. Adrenaline is a fight or flight hormone, which it provides your body with a surge of energy, especially to respond to imminent danger. So suddenly, when you see something like a snake, and you get this energy to just run, that's your adrenalines. And unfortunately, chronic stress causes cortisol levels to remain elevated, and this can lead to excessive calorie intake and obesity. So engaging in stress reducing activity, as you so rightly said, meditation, yoga, and listening to soothing music, this normalizes the levels of stress hormones. It's important, imperative, even during this hormonal surge, to have healthy fats like avocados, dark chocolate, whole egg, fatty fish, chia seeds, coconut oil, full fat yogurt, good healthy fats. And also, Vidya, this category of kids, they are so conscious of their body image that they either, if they are too thin, they overeat, and if they're too, even if they're slightly pleasantly plump, they start eating less. Both is bad. Undereating and overeating is bad, because overeating causes insulin resistance, and cutting your calorie intake also increases your stress hormones. And when your stress hormone cortisol increases, it automatically is not good, because more cortisol is just not good for your body. So consuming too many or too less few calories also can lead to hormonal imbalances. Aim to have over 1,200 calories per day for optimal health. And people who eat fish, it's nice to eat fatty fish, because it is really good source of omega-3 fatty acids, which is most of you know, it's got strong anti-inflammatory properties, it's antioxidants, and it does wonders to control your cortisol and your epinephrine, and to increase sensitivity of insulin, and it is great for your health. So consuming that, and very important, get your sleep. But during your 7 hours sleep, there are 2-3 hormones which are really good for your body, and these are melanin hormones and growth hormones. These are hormones which are required for you to restore, repair, and rejuvenate. So if you are going to not get your sleep, then it'll again lead to the production of you. I remember telling me about ghrelin hormone, the appetite hormone, that's going to come up, and your cortisol is going to rise. So you have to have your growth hormone and your melanin production. So try to get that 7 to 8 hours of sleep, and have a high fiber food, like diet like beans, broccoli, berries, avocados, whole grain, apple, dried fruits, nuts, etc., which are linked with improvements in your insulin sensitivity and to control hormones. So I think I've been too technical talking about all these hormones, but I just thought that I'll leave it there.
Yeah, I have read about cortisol, and if I'm not wrong, it is the main reason for getting belly fat. Um,
Yes.
am
Yes, absolutely,
I-
absolutely. And it's very, very much associated with stress. The more
okay.
you stress,
Yes.
the less you sleep, you're
Right.
bound to have more cortisol levels.
Okay. Okay. And with regards to emotional problems, students do face um, from their teachers, from their peers, and it could also be from their family. So, what if the emotional problem is because of their family? That is, money problems, or now during this lockdown period, many people lost their jobs. So, the challenges that parents face, and or the quarrel in the family or sibling rivalry, so all these things cause emotional problems. So, how can students manage all these emotional problems that they face?
Yeah, this is again a question which has to be addressed, Vidya. Very sadly, with the lockdown, there are a lot of incidences like this which are being reported in families where there's not only verbal abuse, there's sexual abuse, increase in verbal and sexual abuse, increase in low esteem of children because they do not have an alternative thing to go outside, to socialize, to be with friends, to kind of play. Because basically, we are social animals. Children, especially children, they like to go out and play. They like to meet friends. They like to go to school. They like to meet their teachers, their peers. They like to talk. They like to, and here you're shut. So it is a big challenge right now. Definitely, yes. And how do you minimize this? How do you make it less? One is that, unfortunately, today with the COVID situation, there is a hit on life. Your uh, it's not only about your life, but how is your day-to-day economical situation, and there's a lot of frustration which family members face at home. And unfortunately, the weakest member of the family takes a brunt on it, and in most cases, it could be the child. So, one is parents have to be very, very mindful that no matter what is your personal challenge, what is your personal space, it is imperative that the children should not be exposed to it, because these children, when they're exposed to this kind of violence, sexual, any kind of violence, it could be addiction, it could be seeing substance abuse in the family, it could be violence in the family. It has a very, very strong impact on the child. The parents might not even realize what harm they're doing, but this kind of it this is one of the major reasons of depression, emotional trauma. It's a major and it kind of it sticks to the child quite early in age. And even if the external situation changes, the child grows up in a lot of complexes. And that child, when he becomes an adult and when he becomes a parent, the next generation, when he or she has their children, that generation also gets affected, and it is pretty bad. So it's imperative for parents to be very, very mindful, to not have their arguments, to not show their frustration or take out their frustration on children who are themselves isolated, themselves feeling lonely, and on top of that, to witness a situation at home which is something they cannot control. So they are taking a blame for a lot of things which they should not be. So there is guilt coming in, there is shame coming in, and there is a lot of negative esteem which is forming and becoming part of that person's personality development. So parents should be really, really mindful to not do this, to be mindful about this, so that next time when there is any kind of stimulus at home which want to make them behave in a particular manner which should not be witnessed by the kids, please do not let your child be exposed. Whatever is your problem, your child should only see the best behavior, because it is a learning experience for the child. They see the child, it's a difficult situation. They see so much of problems, and then when they see the parents so bravely facing all this, facing these challenges so boldly, it's the choices that they make. And uh, they realize, they see role models in their parents. They see that this is how, even when the situations are tough, this is how one has to react. This is the learning in this. So use this as an opportunity to train your kids to face adversity in the face of any kind of bad situation. And as I said, that to build uh, your kind of personality for children, when they see this, there is this fear psychosis which sets into them, that should I be doing this, is it right to do this, I don't think this is. So it is okay that whatever is the situation, Parents, especially, they should not fail not to try again, because what happens is that I like the way Michael Jordan says, I can accept failure, everyone fails at something, but I cannot accept not trying. So this is something children should be told. Failures will come. It's okay to fail. It's okay. But the important thing is, how do you respond to failure? Do you give in to it, or does it booster you? So that's something this COVID times can really teach your children. Parents and teachers can teach their kids, how do you handle failure? How do you take it? How can you create a new glass ceiling to break at these COVID times? Another thing is how important it is to teach your children to prioritize yourself, because if you do not control your time, if you do not control your life, other people will come and snatch it from you. So this is again a very, very important lesson, that how do you prioritize your time? How do you support each other? Because one person's failure should not be your success. It is a collective effort of how do you support yourself and take the situation forward. And always, Vidya, I tell people that in your heart, you keep one corner of your heart which is very, very pristine, very special. And that place is just between you and yourself. So, especially when you're having a bad day, when you're having a bad moment, just enter that space in your heart. And that may be a connection of meditation. It's a place where you're connecting with God. It's a place where you're telling outsiders you cannot enter. Negative emotions cannot come in. This is just a pure place in my heart. And in real difficult moments, enter that space and find peace there. And trust me, that really, really works. And you can control, you cannot control the situations, especially COVID. You can control the choices that you have, the choices, how you can react to the situation, and what are life's important lessons you are going to leave behind as a legacy for your children.
I cannot agree more with that. Thank you very much. And to sum it all, before that, before the next final question, I'll give you a quick update. We have more than 5,000 viewers with us.
Oh,
This is
I'm
wonderful
really
for
honored.
us. Yeah, thank you. It's all because of you. The final question that I have from my side is, to sum up everything that you said so far, so how can students maintain good mental and physical health, especially during this lockdown period?
So it's very simple, Vidya. I think I've spoken a lot about what they can do. Just to sum it up, I could say is, first of all, don't be scared of failure. Try. Michael Jordan again says, ever tried, ever fail, no matter, try again, fail better. So have the courage to dream, have the courage to hold on to your dream and pursue that dream with passion, and make, as I said, find your purpose and make your purpose what you are supposed to be doing, and do it with all your passion and with commitment and with discipline and intelligent hard work. And when you want to do something, especially children, always remember, when you set yourself to do something, it need not be to become a big doctor or an engineer, whatever. Do not live your parents' dreams. Do what your heart says. What is your passion? If you want to be a baker, if you want to be a cobbler, be the best baker in the world. Give it your best. Have the ability to dream and have realistic expectations, because when you have realistic expectations, things will get easier. And more than anything, have self love, have self confidence. And it's okay not to be okay on certain days. It's okay not to have perfect situations on okay. Always remember, when you try something sincerely with your heart, with all passion, the world just comes around to help you, to support you, to guide you, and to push you. So don't be scared to fail. Fail. It's okay. Fail again, but get up, brush yourself, and go there and again. Because as Oprah Winfrey says, that if you meet a barrier, that barrier doesn't say that you are a failure. The temporary setback doesn't define you as a failure. It is just to show you that you need to take another turn. You just need to divert, to pursue, to go on. And you mentioned about sleep. Sleep is very, very important to get that 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Little tools, I'm sure most of you know, but as a doctor, I'm going to reiterate, spend time with someone that makes you feel good, like maybe a 2 a.m. friend. Just before going to sleep, have a good laugh. That will ease your tensions. Don't see anything violent or anything on television, something soothing. Try to not see television maybe 1 hour before you're planning to sleep. Instead, read a book, or I suggest spend some time with a person who will make you feel good, make you, especially if you've had a very tough day. Plan your next day, make that to-do list. That's really, really because that will take away a lot of apprehensions and worry. Switch off all your electronic devices in the night. Keep them away from you so that the harmful waves do not come near you. Keep your room cool, dark, and quiet. Avoid eating anything after 7 p.m. Yes, even for children, if at all, have a glass of milk or buttermilk, but don't have anything heavy after 7 p.m. And also avoid intense workouts before going to sleep, because you've got too much of energy and too much of thing which will prevent you to sleep. So have your 7 to 8 hours, because what are those hormones I told you? The growth hormones. Add your melanin. It's very important to restore, to rejuvenate, and for repair. So have your 7 to 8 hours of sleep, and try to lead that life without any kind of stress.
Thank you. Unfortunately, we are running out of time, but we do have several questions from our students and parents. I don't know if we have, do we have time to take one question? Okay.
No, please. I'm okay to take as many questions. I love to take questions.
Okay, just one question, because I do have a girl child, so I want to ask this question. One of the parents here asks, it is difficult for adolescent girl child to overcome periodical cycle related issues, especially when it happens in the school, the menstruation. So how can she handle this situation?
May I know the name of the parent who's asking this question?
I don't have the name.
Okay, that's okay. So, dear parent, see your child when she has these 4 to 5 days of menstruation. It's not just a physical aspect, but there is a lot of mental stress that your child has gone through. Trust me, I've gone through it. So, it's imperative that be very supportive. If your child doesn't want to go to school on the first 2 days, it's okay. Let the child rest at home. I think it's absolutely okay. Don't pressurize your child or force your child, because if you just send a letter or talk to the teacher will understand. So be supportive, and that's the time when a child is, as I said, there's a lot of issues going on with the body, with the mind, psychological issue. There's a craving to eat sweets. There's so many things which happens at that time. Just be supportive. Just listen to the child, because if you are not empathetic and if you do not talk to your child, she will try to get information from elsewhere. So tell this is absolutely normal, but be empathetic, and at the same time, don't make a big deal about it. It's okay. You can just talk to her and tell her that this is a normal cycle. This is going to happen every day till you're 45 or 50 years old, and it's not a big deal. And if she wants to go to school, or if she wants to do something, maybe just give her a painkiller, analgesic, and don't make it a big deal. Try to kind of tell her it's just a normal thing. Every girl passes through it, but be very empathetic and be very supportive, and pamper her on those days.
Thank you very, very much. This was a very insightful and relevant session. Thank you, Dr. David, for addressing our students about pressing issues that they face, especially during this pandemic. Thank you very, very much. Thank you.
Vidya, it's been an absolute honor to be addressing you all today, and I'm so glad that we've had over 5,000 viewers.
Yes,
congratulations!
Yes.
It's wonderful, and you've been an excellent moderator. Thank you for that.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone.